All right, guys, so now we're going to do the mobile menu and the hamburger button. So we want this kind of thing here where we have an overlay with the items, and the logo is also going to change. See how it's dark here and it's light with the overlay. Same with the X or with the hamburger menu. So let's go ahead and just add our HTML first. So we're going to put the hamburger button right, let's see, where are we going to put this? Right under this div right here. Okay, so this will be hamburger button, and then under this div is going to be the mobile menu. So let's start here, and this is going to be a button. We're going to give it an ID of menu-btn because we need to grab onto it in the JavaScript. We're going to give it a couple classes. So Z30, we're giving it a Z index so it always stays on top. And then let's display it as block. And then on medium screens, we want it to be hidden. Okay, because this is it's a mobile menu, so we don't want it to show on larger screens. And then focus, we're just going to do outline dash none. And also I'm going to add a custom class of hamburger so that we can style it. Now, if I just put something in here like hello, we should see it, but then when we hit the medium screen, it'll go away. All right, so now what we're going to have in here are going to be 3 spans. So the first one will be hamburger dash top, and then we'll have middle, and we'll have bottom. And each one of these represents a line because we want it to be 3 lines like this, so top, middle, bottom. But right now we're not going to see anything because we're going to create those lines with CSS. And let's actually do that now. So this is going to be the same, almost the same CSS that we used in the past 2 projects for the hamburger button. So I'm just going to paste it in, and then I'll just kind of explain it. So if I save that in our input CSS, we should now see these 3 lines. So to begin with, we just have our hamburger class, which wraps around this whole thing. We're setting the width and the height. We're adding a transition on all properties, positioning it relative. And then the hamburger top, middle, and bottom spans are going to be positioned absolute. And they have a width of 24, which is the same as the hamburger class, and a height of 3 pixels. So each of these lines have a height of 3 pixels. And then we're just positioning them all top left 0 for now. So like if I were to remove this, we'll just see, should just see 1 line. And there are 3 lines there. They're just positioned all in the same place. So what we did is just took the middle and the bottom and moved them down a little with translate Y. So the middle gets moved down 7 pixels, and the bottom gets moved down to 14 pixels, giving us 3 lines. All right, so that's the basis of this. Then we want, when we click on this, we want it to turn into an X. So that's where this open class comes in. So if the hamburger button has a class of open, we're going to rotate a couple things here. We're going to get rid of the middle one because obviously an X is just 2 lines. So we're basically just rotating the top and bottom into an X shape. So if I were to manually add the class of open onto this button, it's going to turn into an X. Okay? And the JavaScript is basically going to make it so that when we click on it, it changes it automatically and gives us the X. All right, so now that we have the hamburger menu, let's go down to, I should say the hamburger button. Let's go down to the actual menu, or create the actual menu. So this is going to have an ID of menu, so we can grab it in the JavaScript. And then we're going to add some classes. I'm going to position it fixed. And I'm going to use the inset0 class. I don't think we've done this. Basically, this will just set all the positions to 0. So top 0, bottom, right, left 0, because we want it to be an overlay. All right, just like this. So it's going to be top 0, bottom 0, left 0, right 0. It's just a shortcut of doing that. All right, and then let's do Z20. So the Z index is going to be lower than the button so that it's actually underneath it. So Z20. I think the button is Z30. And then let's do flex. Now to begin with, it's going to actually be hidden, but just so we can see what we're doing, let's make it flex. All right, and that's what the JavaScript will do as well, is it will toggle from flex to hidden. And let's make this flex call, and items will align to the center. And then let's add a self-end alignment, and the width is going to be full. We want that to be 100%. Also the height I'm going to set to full, and then we'll even do a minimum, let's say minimum height of screen. Okay, because obviously we want it to cover the entire thing. This is an overlay. And let's do padding X6 and padding Y1. And let's do padding top 24 and padding bottom, we'll do 4. And then let's do tracking dash widest, so that's the letter spacing of the text. And then let's do text dash white, because it'll be on a dark blue background. We'll make everything uppercase. And then we also want dividers. So see these lines in between. I know these are the wrong links, but see the lines in between? Those are dividers. So we can add onto this divide dash Y, because it's dividing the items on the Y-axis. And we can change the color with divide dash gray 500. And then we want to be able to see through it. So let's say opacity 90. And then the background color is going to be very dark blue. Okay, so that is our overlay. If I go ahead and just put hello in there, we should see the dark blue overlay. And again, this is going to start off as hidden, and then when we click the button, it'll turn to flex. And that's going to happen through JavaScript. So now let's get our items in here. Each item will be in a div with width full, and padding on the Y3 just to give it some space, and then text center. And then we have our actual item, which will be displayed as a block. And this is going to go to features, and the text in here, features. And then what we'll do is copy this div down. So we have 4 of them. This one is going to be for download. Let's say download, and then let's do FAQ. Okay, and then this is going to be ID FAQ. And then we also have a login, which isn't actually going to go anywhere, so we can just do that. Login, let's save, and there we go. All right, and if you want to do a hover, I guess we could do a hover on these. So class block, and let's do hover. Let's say text dash, and I believe we have a soft red. Yeah, I think that we should do that on all of these. So I'm just going to grab that, and let's put that there and there and there. All right, cool. So let's see what else we want to do. So I'm going to actually add the class of open on the button, because I want to show you something. If we put open here,